Hey there, Camp Pros. It's producer Matt here, and we are excited to bring you something a little different for this episode. This is a live recording of the session that myself and Howie and Travis and Rachel put on at OCA Connects 2025, which is a camp conference held in Ontario, Canada, the largest gathering of camp professionals in Canada. And Howie, Rachel, and Travis and I subjected ourselves to Spicy Wings, Spicy Questions, where we asked some pretty controversial questions about the camp industry and did that while eating some spicy wings. It was a ton of fun, and we're excited to bring you that as part of your regular podcast feed. So this is an audio-only episode for people that usually tune in on YouTube, and please forgive us for the little bit different sound quality than you're used to, but it is a ton of fun, and we are so excited to bring this to you. So let's get to it. Are these questions about the camp industry too hot to handle?
This is CampHacker. Come find our show notes and our blog for camp directors and leaders at camphacker.tv.
Camp leaders, win back your time to what matters most, your campers. Bolin's comprehensive accounting back office solutions and tech-enabled team free up your staff to focus on your mission. Visit bolinhq.com to learn more and book a free 2-hour financial diagnostic.
Remember what sparked your passion for camp? UltraCamp knows it's about the people, not the paperwork. That's why they built a platform to simplify your camp management. Learn more at ultracampmanagement.com/camphacker.
Hello, I'm Travis Allison, he, him.
Hello, I'm Howie Grossinger, he, him.
Hello, I'm Rachel Kent, she, they.
And I'm Matt Wilfred, he, him.
Welcome to the CampHacker,
Camp Owners,
Beyond Camp,
and First Class Counselors podcast. So for those of you tuning in on the airwaves while you're walking the dog or doing the dishes, let's set the stage for you. We are at OCA Connects 2025. We have a raucous crowd in here, and we are hosting our Spicy Wings, Spicy Questions panel here. And we are excited to bring you this live Go Camp Pro podcast recording. And today we have assembled this illustrious panel of Ontario camp professionals and consultants who have willingly, I might add, accepted the following challenge. Not only do we have some hard-hitting questions for them, but throughout this panel discussion, our panelists, including myself as the moderator, will subject ourselves to progressively spicier and spicier chicken wings. And before you think to yourself, hey, this is like that internet talk show that I enjoy, if you're thinking that, then for copyright reasons, I'll tell you that you're wrong. Let it be known that I am making no other gestures with my hands right now. As I say, this is not like that interview show that you might be thinking of. It's not like that at all. So before, I want to say a couple of quick thank yous, just in case I'm not physically able to do it at the end. Thank you to the OCA conference for having us speak. Thank you to everyone in attendance today, witnessing what could be an absolute catastrophe. A special thanks to our local hot sauce company out of Brantford, Ontario. They are the Villain Hot Sauce Company, nice and local. And they're supported by a local kitchen in Brantford that is a host kitchen for entrepreneurs, and they host their things, they feed seniors, hopefully not the hot sauces, but they're great folks, and they were excited that we were doing this. So the way this will work is that each of us will eat a wing. I will ask a question, and then turn it over to the panel for a 10-minute-ish discussion on the topic. Panelists are welcome to answer or pass as they see fit, depending on how much they are able to answer the question. So let's introduce our panel. Panel, please give me your name, what you do in relation to the camp world, a bit about your podcast, and maybe how you are with spiciness. And Travis, I'll pass it to you to start.
Well, I'll take it in reverse order. I'm usually great with spiciness. I'm not going to be great with spiciness today, so I'm taking it easy. My name is Travis Allison. I am a consultant in marketing and communications and systems thinking for camps, and I run the CampHacker podcast. We've been running since 2015, and our podcast has been heard in over 100 countries.
All right. Welcome, Travis, everybody. Welcome.
Hey everyone, I'm Rachel. I'm one of the co-chairs of the 2025 OCA Connects conference, passionate about community building, storytelling, and reducing barriers to getting youth outdoors. And I was the co-host of the Beyond Camp podcast during the pandemic. And who knows, maybe it'll come back someday.
Hi everyone, my name is Howie Grossinger. I am relatively good with spice when I was in my 30s. Who knows now? I won't tell you my age at this point. I am a multi-generational camp owner, part of a family who's owned camps for over 65 years. I am both a day camp operator and an overnight camp operator. And for the last 5 years, I have been the co-host of the Camp Owners podcast, which explores issues and topics that are relevant to those that operate camps in the private camp space.
Let's give it up for Howie. Okay, and Rachel, how are you with spice?
I think I'm okay.
Okay, famous last words. Here we go. So we are going to start our first question. So as I ask the question, I'll invite each panelist. We're going to start with the Southern Symphony, a smoky ghost hot sauce. There's only one pepper in the description, but it is a ghost pepper. So, okay, it's only 1.5. So I'll invite the panelists. This is by a little bit of consent. You can take as much as you would like on your wing, or as little. Oh, good thing that was the first one. And then we'll go down. Yeah, ramekin it up if that is helpful for you. The first question, and I am going to put this over to Howie first. What is the biggest waste of time that you think many year-round camp professionals engage in? I mean, can we get like a ooh from the audience? Wait, pause. I'm gonna edit this in later. Wait. Ooh. Thank you, Howie, and we can all start that first one.
One?
Smoky.
It still has flavor.
It still has flavor.
It does. It is smoky. It's good.
Okay, Howie, over to you.
Okay.
Biggest waste of time.
Biggest waste of time. Well, I'm going to turn that on its head. I don't think anything a camp operator does, quite frankly, is a waste of time. I think everything we do is strategic, and we have our own reasons for doing the things we do. What I would say is that the waste may be associated with the time of year that we choose to tackle certain items that we focus on. As you all know, as we all know as camp operators, that we have worked our annual cycle of projects, things we focus on, from registration to marketing to staffing, etc. I would make the argument that if you're working on your website 3 weeks before camp, I would say that's perhaps a waste of time. So that would be for us as operators to talk to other operators and talk about what works best for them in this cycle of camp every year, and then hone in on those things. Maybe a certain month you're focused on visioning the development of your site, or working on contracts, getting legal advice on issues that you faced in the previous summer that you know you have to be better prepared for in the future. The list goes on. I also just want to make just a brief comment about camp. Operating at camp is a really delicate combination of art and science. And I really think as anyone that works their way through this camp journey, that just knowing when you've gone too far in a certain project. I'll give you a great example. A lot of us may be Excel spreadsheet nerds, and we want to jump into numbers about registration or trends. There is a fine line when your investigation or your analysis may go too far and take you away from something else. Because at the end of the day, I would argue that we weren't hired to be the Excel spreadsheet nerds. We were hired, or we operate our camps because of relationships and building community and culture and finding the right time to determine when you're doing that. And if it's at the expense of digging into numbers for too long in your cycle, then that may not be the best use of your time.
Okay. We can clap if you feel like you're happy.
All right, I think I've been pondering this question, and I think that for me, the waste of time is when people try and get things perfect, and we don't launch things until they're perfect, and every little detail is ironed out, and we polish that pearl for hours and hours. Sometimes we just need to launch it. We just got to go for it. And especially as we're leading up to camp and things like that, or if you're at a crucial moment in your marketing journey, and you're like, we just need to launch this, like sometimes you just got to get it out there and you can deal with it as it goes. You got to be brave to take that step and dive in.
Thank you, Rachel. Thank you.
Yeah, I think camp directors waste quite a lot of time, actually. I think we waste time avoiding the things we don't like about this job. And we spend a lot of time not doing the things that we're not good at or the things we don't enjoy. And that if we were more thoughtful about building systems around the things that we don't do well or are not the reason why we got into camp, then we could spend a lot more time on the things that are the reason why we do this, are the reason why we do it. And I see a lot of waste on that. I don't know, sometimes there's lots of different things. Avoiding talking to parents, it's avoiding asking people to sign up for camp. I see people avoid lots of things that way, and I wish that they would not waste time on avoiding that and would figure out a system to take it off their hands or make it easier for themselves so that they can do the good stuff, the things that, the big change of life kind of things.
Thank you. That's great. I think I'll wrap up just by saying one of my own things where I could have spent more time doing the things that mattered was because I wasn't delegating.
Yes.
And because I was a very A-type person and wanting to get things right, and I became good at those things. But the reason I became good at those things was because people gave me the trust to be good at those things in the first place, and the trust to make mistakes in the first place. I think we're so concerned that if someone doesn't do the order of morning circle correctly, that a camper's experience is going to be hindered by that. And it just happens. When you go into busy mode, the easiest thing is I'll do it myself because I know it's going to be what I want. But that is not a good way to think about long-term effects. It's going to take longer, and then when you leave eventually, you're not leaving the place better than you found it. So you're not wasting your own time, just your own time then, you're wasting someone else's time in the future as well.
Can I
yep.
add on to that? So, my wife Beth that I directed with for 15 years. Beth and I had a fight with a board member early on in our career. She was mad that I wasn't leading every song at Campfire because I could play guitar. And she pulled me at a campfire, she was just shaking, she was so mad. And I had to say to her, that's not my job. Like, my job is to make that guy better at leading campfire songs. And I'm gonna do it for the next kid too. And then the next one who comes up and is like, I don't know how to play songs. Like, let's start with E minor and we'll go from there. Like, my job is not to do it all. My job is to make sure other people can do it. And I think that's a great point about delegating. We had to learn that early to get better at delegating, and I think we're pretty great at it by the end.
Yes, certainly. That one is the same level of spice as the second one, different flavor. Any final thoughts on? We've got time if there's more thoughts on this one. Any other places? Okay, perfect. Okay, number 2, titled Witch Doctor. I don't know about how inclusive that is, but it is the second one that I got. So the ingredients list: peaches, pineapple, water, looking good. Dried apricots, apple cider, white vinegar. Oh, apple cider vinegar, white vinegar. Here we go. Habanero peppers. Ghost peppers. Great. There's 2 peppers in this one. Okay, panelists, if you will, let's see how we're checking. We'll check in after this one.
Oh, lots of flavor.
Yeah, feeling the pineapple.
Rachel, how are you feeling?
Is there usually fire in a
So far, it's a bit sweet. It evolves.
Growing. Everyone okay?
Yeah.
Okay. This is question number 2, and I'll kick this one off. Has the camp industry abandoned environmentalism? Somebody in the front row just shook their head at me and said no. So this is great. And so this is the reason I asked this one. So is environmentalism still important to the camp industry? And I think it's a worthwhile discussion because I did a little bit of digging. And out of the big conferences out there, ACA National, Tri-State, and the OCA, there are only 7 sessions of all of those conference sessions that mention nature or environmentalism at all, and only 4 of them that mention sustainability. The rest of it is about forest fires and those kinds of interactions with the environment. And I, as somebody who is on the conference planning committee, am responsible for that as well. And I think there's some recognition that there's some work that could be done and there's reasons behind it. So what I want to hear from us, and one more thing. I heard on CBC radio the other day, a panelist, they were from a certain political party, and it's fine, be who you are, but they said that in a survey of issues that mattered most to Canadians, for the first time in the past 5 years, environmentalism and climate change moved from 1st to 5th in terms of what people were concerned about, with the economy being high up there. Now, this pundit might have picked up a poll that had said that, but I think it's worth the conversation of what can we be doing, or are we doing enough? What does environmentalism and camping look like in 2025? Can I pass it to someone to start?
Can you maybe I'll just to put it into perspective, 4 sessions specifically about climate change or environmentalism. Out of all of those conferences, that's probably 200 sessions.
Yeah.
When you think of those 3 conferences, so
It's like less.
2%.
2%.
Yeah.
I have some thoughts.
Ooh. Hot take.
Dig in.
Yeah.
Hot take.
So I suppose my first thought is I think eco-anxiety is real. I think there are a lot of people who are really terrified about the direction of the world, and so sometimes we avoid addressing those topics because we're so anxious about it. And our campers maybe as well. I personally feel like environmentalism is an incredibly important topic for us to talk about. But also that when we think about who's responsible for environmentalism, in elementary school you learn like everybody is the 3 R's, reduce, reuse, recycle, etc. And that's great, but it's also the corporation's responsibility. And so then when people internalize that, that's where that eco-anxiety often comes from. And also, I think there's a lot of privilege in being able to be environmentally friendly. In that, I think environmentally friendly products are often more expensive. It's more expensive to buy glass Tupperware than it is the plastic type, or reusable bags versus, like the cheap no-name Ziploc bags at the grocery store. And so we have to keep that in mind as well, that there is so much in this world to be concerned about right now that I think it's just fallen off the table, unfortunately, because people are just trying to survive, like the bare minimum right now. The world is tough. And unfortunately, I think that's what's happened. I don't think it's right, but I think that's where we're at. And I think as camps, we prioritize things like communication and friendship and all of those wonderful things we've been learning about at this conference so far, that it can be our responsibility to bring environmentalism back. So I don't think we've abandoned it. I just think we're all trying to get by, and it's fallen off the wayside, unfortunately.
Well done, Rachel. Yeah, there's definitely the issue of cost prohibition, which I think we as operators, and I look at it from the lens of a private camp operator often, and because that's my world, and I have to look at it that way, is that, we have to look at it from that and trying to manage the continued increased costs of camp from the staffing perspective to capital investments and things like that, and just trying to fit in the very genuine desire to, what I believe is to address environmentalism in a way that I operate both day camps and overnight camps, and trying to fundamentally see how they both can fit into holistically and strategically into the experience we're providing. And trying to balance where does our desire to promote environmentalism in our programming mesh potentially with the expectations of our clients, and where we're going to fit that into the curriculum of camp, because we do have all curriculums of camp, whether we like it or not, and how that will be accepted. But I think that as much as the crisis of climate change and the desire and the topic environmentalism has been one on our mind for decades, I still continue to feel it's like slow and steady, and being able to speak to it in the most comfortable ways within your operation, and trying to find that balance where it can resonate. We often start with our staff, because we feel that at the end of the day, if we do some really good staff training about, I run a day camp where kids bring their lunch. If we have, the necessary items to recycle properly, I'm going to equip my staff with the tools of educating that, hey, Johnny or Jamie, this is what we're going to do with your garbage, or things of that kind. And then I want my maintenance staff to be able to make a big deal when the blue buckets or the blue bins are being lifted or carried onto the flatbed of a truck. Like, we can celebrate all those things, yet we don't have to necessarily stand on a mountaintop necessarily to sort of espouse our desire. We can do it in little ways that I think resonate and have a bit of a trickle-down effect, which I think we try to do, at least in my organization, but I think a lot of people are still working at it every single summer.
I want to recognize that I know that the people in this room, especially the people listening to this podcast, are doing innovative sustainability things at their camps. I think when I look at the conference sessions and when I was thinking about this, the way that we tackle things like staff recruitment, and I think that there's a conversation about where our efforts in diversity, equity, and inclusion, and people are doing such innovative things. And I think what I want is a call to action for people to keep sustainability in that innovative space. in that collaborative space, using the OCA Slack group, using any Facebook groups that you're a part of to be highlighting the green initiatives that you're doing, because I think we are an industry where the love and experience of nature is very synonymous with the camp experience. And I think, the way that we teach kids to take care of nature and appreciate nature is astounding. And it's very different than the education world, which is also kind of doing their own things. So I think it's just my call I want more people to be talking about it and to be featuring it and putting their hands up and sharing those best practices. Because Rachel's right, there's a lot of corporations that if one big corporate entity said, we're gonna really fix our green things, it wouldn't matter what we're doing. The spikes is, I don't know what happened. I'm gonna stop talking. Travis? You were a podcast guest.
Yes. I would encourage everybody to check out the Green Camps Initiative with Danny Sutherland. I think it's greencamps.org. He's doing some really great stuff. We did a show on the effects of climate change, which I think is something as the business managers of the camp world we need to be a lot more serious about. But I take Rachel's point that everybody's got a lot of things going on. I've been trying to talk to camps this year who are getting frustrated with parents to just say, parents have a lot going on. They don't live in your head, they don't know what's going on, you have to over-communicate with them. But I think back to things like when Camp Also started here in Ontario, which is a super way ahead of its time, very green, very environmental camp. And the first initiatives in the environmental world were so much based in camp from the 80s and from also started in the late 60s, I think, or early 70s. So it came out of very turbulent times as well. So we have opportunities to do this. I agree that I worry about how much time we have to do this, but I think there are opportunities for people to stand out as a camp by acknowledging that this is something going on in families' lives and our staff lives, and making that our specialty or one of our specialties as a way of standing out.
Really? Any final thoughts on that? Let's give a round of applause for question 2. Well done, panelists. And besides me, no major breakdowns so far in hot sauces.
Camp leaders, are you bogged down with bookkeeping, accounting, and other back office tasks? Does it take precious time away from what matters most, your campers? Imagine a solution that frees up your staff to focus on creating impactful and memorable experiences for your campers. That's where Bolin comes in. Bolin offers comprehensive accounting back office solutions designed specifically for camps. Our tech-enabled team handles everything from payroll and bookkeeping to financial reporting, compliance, expense management, spend control, and more, allowing your staff to passionately pursue your number one purpose. With Bolin, you can streamline your camp's financial operations, reduce stress, and ensure your team is free to make a lasting impact in your campers' lives. It's time to win back your time and work with a financial partner that truly understands camps. Whether you're a for-profit, nonprofit, overnight, or day camp, Bolin has a solution for you. Visit bolinhq.com to learn more and book a free 2-hour financial diagnostic. The report is yours whether you sign up or not. Let Bolin take care of your accounting needs so you can focus on what truly matters, your campers.
Exclusive to CampHacker listeners. Generate fresh ideas for activities, staff training, marketing campaigns, and more with UltraCamp's plug-and-play AI prompt guide. Download it for free at ultracampmanagement.com/CampHacker. Why struggle with multiple systems when one can do it all? UltraCamp offers a platform that simplifies your work by combining all aspects of camp management into one seamless solution. UltraCamp brings everything you need into one easy-to-use platform. Plan schedules and activities with just a few clicks. Register and track campers easily organize, schedule, and automate your communications. Manage payments and donations seamlessly. Get back to what you love. UltraCamp helps you spend less time on admin tasks and more time creating unforgettable camp experiences. Ready to see if UltraCamp is the perfect fit? Schedule your free personalized demo at ultracampmanagement.com/CampHacker.
Okay, we are dialing it up to number 3 here. This is Mountain Punch, Smoky Habanero. Let's see how many peppers are listed in here. It is a 3 out of 5 on their scale, and it contains habanero peppers, bell peppers, that doesn't count, chipotle peppers, ghost peppers. So we're at three hot peppers here. So super. Here we go.
Okay.
No.
He's very generous with this course.
Yeah, it's okay. It's good for the moderator to break down, yeah. Okay, here is the question, and Travis, I'll get you to have your win because I'm going to turn it over to you.
Okay.
Here we go. Given the changing attitude about social media, the context is I was noticing that some of my friends and maybe the folks in the room have noticed that some people are deplatforming themselves from certain social media companies for certain reasons. And if a camp who has a belief system that might be opposed to what they feel a social media company, for instance, like Meta or X, specifically what they've become or the values that they show as an organization, given that we use social media so prevalently in our marketing efforts, or many camps do, how realistic is it for if a camp wants to decouple themselves from those social media platforms, how realistic is it for them to do that knowing that families still use it? How's the hot sauce? I haven't had it yet.
I haven't had that one yet either.
Okay.
I was thinking.
Okay.
How realistic? It's very realistic. I think the thing I want everybody who runs camps to do is focus on what's efficient and effective. And because of the way algorithms work, the amount of work and energy we're putting into social media is mostly wasted. And if you can figure out other ways to communicate with your families through your own kind of apps or other things you're paying for, or sharing photos with families through a private server or private website, much better use of your time than social media. I think social media could work for a camp if they had someone who could do TikTok full time, but if you follow anybody who has actually made a job out of social media, it usually takes them 3 months before they say, this is friggin' exhausting. And they're the ones who are having success because they can do that. And I don't want you to waste your time on that. I don't think it's worth your time. I would much rather, I get social media has its purposes. I think it's good for community building. It's good for connecting with alumni. I don't think it sells camps. And I don't think it does it's by far not the most efficient thing you could do to get campers to come back next year.
How's everyone doing down here?
Yeah,
Are we
it's a good
feeling
one.
good? Yeah, okay. Okay, great. Howie?
Okay, I'm going to push back, Travis.
Good. I push back on you. I'm glad you are.
I'm going to push back because I think that notwithstanding the travails of social media currently, that for many of us it becomes the most readily accessible way of expressing our culture and what we do and how we do it. And depending on your audience, whether it is a day camp, and typically I am not targeting 6-year-old kids on social media. That is not my philosophy around social media for that. But I got lots of moms and dads who are scrolling and, is it called death? What's it, death scrolling? Doom scrolling. I was almost there, I'm getting so ripped on by my kids. But the point is that I think that depending on your philosophy around social media, I really do think it has a place. I think that we have particularly the campaigns that we're developing through Meta and Instagram, we really abandoned TikTok specifically. We don't feel it, for us, it's the method by which we get the best response. So we're doing campaigns all over through some very, I would say, but I'm sure all of you are doing, all this geo-targeting and all the things we're doing to find moms, particularly of 6-year-old kids in a certain segment of a day camp bus route. These are still some of the best ways for us to market our program. I would also like to say, coming out of a previous session at this conference, was the discussion about staff recruitment. Staff are on social media, and if you want to get direct eyes on the jobs that are available for your summer camp, often social media will provide direct access to that, and then building systems in place where they can get you aware of their interest. I think it's really super important, and it continues to be a play that I like. To Travis's point about the resources we put to this, I have found and discovered post-COVID that I am keeping my social media team like on payroll throughout the year. They're part-time people, they're students, and they're in some of the most creative programs in colleges and universities, and they have benefited from their portfolio building by planning out campaigns for me and our team, and it's a way for them to stay connected, and it's been a great way for me to have them return year after year. And as camp operators, we're always thinking about retention. And I think that for me on this topic, it's been one of the best ways to highlight, the experience of camp, the opportunities to work at camp, and really to express the trust that you can have in our operation through social media. It continues to work, and I don't see us changing, despite the very real frustrations of the dark side of, being on social media. I do appreciate that. I'm not dismissing that, but I look at it from, that I'm expressing it from the other lens, of course.
Can I'll just use the mic to ask you a follow-up, Kelly. Of 10 posts that you put out on social media, how many of them are you putting money behind? What percent? How many of those are paid ads?
Oh, not a ton.
Okay.
No, we're not investing a ton of money. I would say that the money we're putting in our paid ads are typically for staff recruitment, more than just camper recruitment or acquisition for families.
Okay, I'm sitting in the middle, but I'm also going to land in the middle on this question. And that I think social media could be great or not great, but the question was whether or not, if it doesn't align with our values, can we successfully decouple from it? And I think that you are always going to be further ahead if you align with your values. And so if your values do not align with social media and you can find more effective ways to reach out to your families, that's fantastic. If you can genuinely stand behind those values and live those out, you will connect with the right communities. I don't think it will be easy. I think that social media is easier, and I would lean towards using social media personally because of the many things Howie said. But if that is deeply important and ingrained in your camp culture and who you want to be, then you will find a way to effectively communicate that to people who are receptive to that topic.
Whew, that's good. Okay. We have a little bit of time on this question, so I want to turn the lens into like strategy building. So if the question was, how realistic is it for a camp to do that? So a camp decides that it is not within their values to continue doing that. So what? What then? And Travis, I'm going to turn it to you. I know that you have been a long advocate of strong emailing and strong communication in that way. So if a camp is interested in that, what is like a positive first step that you would give them as they choose to decouple?
Parents don't want the meta thing that parents want is not to find you on Instagram. They want to hear how camp is going. They want to know that their kids are safe and well cared for. And so you can employ lots of different tools that you have much more effective reach. My concern about social media, Robinhood has always been amazing at tech and systems, and we all just always learn great things from what Robinhood does, but a lot of us don't have the staff to do that. And I think you can afford to have staff because you're so good at systems. And I applaud you for that. It's not a hit on you at all. I think it's amazing for the way that you do it. But most of us wouldn't be able to afford the staff to do that year-round or to do it, to invest in it. And every year, the stuff that just naturally gets shown to the people that follow you decreases. Like the amount of stuff that you put out there that they actually see is less. So if you have something like an email or a private website that they have a password to, something like that, you can do a lot of the same things. That is for within the community, that's about returning. I take Howie's point, you want to reach new people, you need to show that you're an interesting place to work at and show off your values, and I think it has a lot of space for that. But my concern again is you do all this work and it doesn't get shown until they say, well, if you pay us $200, then we'll get shown. And so, I would say please do decouple because of whatever the principles are or things that are frustrating you. But we learned from TikTok getting banned for 14 hours that it can go away at any point. So if you're putting all of this time and staff effort into it, you can just lose it. It was a famous story in the early days of Facebook that a guy had created a Facebook group that had 25,000 people in it, and it was people who are real estate agents. And super huge group, like every top real estate agent in the world, just when Facebook was cool, was involved in this, and they got a copyright claim put against this group for using the word realtor, and they lost the whole thing overnight. They had no repercussions, just gone. And that's always my worry is you don't own this audience. And so if you move off a platform, do it because you have the ability to control your message better using other things than relying on Meta to put out your stuff enough to get enough traction that more people will see it back.
Rachel, last word on this?
Yeah, I think in terms of being realistic. We also have to be realistic about what our parents are able to sort of process, given, like I said earlier, like how hard the world is. So like when I'm scrolling in the evening through my phone after the kids are finally laying in bed and I'm exhausted, and then I'm like, oh, I could be signing them up for soccer lessons because I can click from this Instagram story and off we go. Like there's value to that. It's real simple and real quick and shows up in my feed, and I don't have to open my email, which I'm dreading because I also have not responded to other emails, and here we are. I have the little name badge that says I read your email. But yeah, so there you go.
Rachel, you never leave me on red. Often. Okay, wonderful. Panelists, I don't know about you, I'm feeling good about that third wing.
That sauce was excellent.
The sauce is very good.
This one? Let's
Yes.
reiterate.
Mountain Punch. Mountain Punch. And audience, we do have some extra things for you to try some of these at the end, so don't worry. Pretty friendly for the first three. I've taken a harder punch before. Okay, wing number 4, we are going up to the Sinister Delight. Okay? Peach Ghost hot sauce. And if the flavor is still good, okay. The second ingredient is habanero peppers. The 4th ingredient is ghost peppers. The 6th ingredient is scorpion peppers. That just seems mean at a certain point. So I will, let's if you are wanting to. We're doing okay so far. Famous last words. Rachel, I am going to turn this question over to you. Many camp professionals and the industry at large seems to agree and understand that it's a good goal to welcome more diverse campers and staff into camps. What are some ways that you see our industry succeeding or failing, or what more can we do or should we do to reach that goal? How's it going?
I feel like there's a bit of a time lapse before it fully kicks in.
This one's real.
Yeah, and this is a big, real question. So I guess one of the challenges that I think, we'll call it a failure, is that people set this like diversity finish line, and then we get to it and we're like, check that box in, off we go. And that finish line is not, like there's no finish line. It just keeps going. Like it's a journey, and we have to be on that journey forever. And so that's like our failure. I think the success is when we set ourselves realistic goals and culture changes that we can make. But those goals, they can't be tangible and like we've achieved X percentage or this number or whatever. Like it's got to be a culture change. This is really lingering. Yeah, it does build actually. Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. So yeah, we've got to be on that journey, and the goals have to be things that are changing and that we can continue to work with over a period of time. And then I think also one of the successes we have is when we meet parents where they are at, when we meet communities where they're at. And what I mean by this is, I don't know if anyone's like me, when I go to a restaurant, I like to like look at the menu ahead of time. Like if that restaurant doesn't have their menu online, am I gonna go? Honestly, probably not. Like we've given people that information before they go to the restaurant, and it's the same thing with camp. We have to give people the information they need to be able to come to camp where they are at. So whether that be in a language that they speak, or addressing the concerns that they might have, regardless of what that concern seems like to me. When I talk with parents who've never sent their children to camp, and they say they have lots of questions about sleeping arrangements, and to me I might be like, well, this is obvious. Well, it's obvious to me because I grew up in this world. I have to meet parents where they're at and provide them with that information. And so I think that's a huge area for growth, is that we can't just be like, these parents are annoying, I don't want to provide this information. We've got to meet them where they're at. I need some water.
Yeah, this one hits for sure. I really like the fact that Rachel talked about the diversity finish line, because I think that I can remember early on when we were talking about this, I think there was an attitude or a feeling that there was something we had to hit. There was something that we had to achieve. And I think I've learned through my own journey with our goals to create an environment and a culture where people are welcome. But more importantly, I agree with Rachel, that this idea of, and I think many of us at this point have heard of, the idea of the hidden curriculum, the idea that we owe it to our families, we owe it to prospective staff to really give them a very clear picture of what they're getting themselves into and what we're all about. And I think we're all doing a really good job of providing environments that are welcoming, but at the same time, we're always learning. And I know for myself, this has been sort of this journey of not putting as much pressure on myself to be that person who does this. Like there's some really great people in our industry, some of whom are here at this conference, like Chris Rees-Dupen, who have really packaged the whole concept of where we should be in the diversity space and creating diverse cultures that have made me feel like it's okay, Howie, like, you know, you can go at your own pace at this and be open to this. And I've been learning a ton from other people. For me, if I could just speak to the COVID effect of the diversity of my own camp population, I think for me, the diversity we're experiencing at one of my camps is directly related to families recognizing that through COVID, they needed to explore different recreational experiences for their kids because they were so isolated, and that being with other kids and trying something that their parents never did but their kids should try, they took leaps of faith with us and created just really environments and experiences that I think we're really proud of, and we're reaping the benefits of that because we've got all new backgrounds of camper families and staff that would never have come to my camp, and I think it's just, we're really proud of that. So that's where I land on this. I really appreciate the way Rachel started this off, though, for sure.
I have a bit of a follow-up thought, Howie, maybe some pushback.
Okay.
I want to explore your comment about sort of like being okay with where you're at, and I think it's important to meet yourself where you're at and understand that you can't be all things to all people right away. And I know where you're coming from, that like you're still on that journey. I think the failure comes when people are like, I'm just never gonna get there, or I can't because I am, like, whatever reason, like I can't learn new pronouns, or I can't do this, or I can't do that for whatever reason, but there's no desire to change those reasons. It's okay, I think, to say, this is where I'm at right now, I'm very aware of my limitations, and in the future I'm going to work to address those, and I think that's really important. And so the success is found in being able to outline those so that we're aware of what we were unaware of previously, and then taking steps to move forwards. And I think approaching with education and experts in those fields is always the way to go, and giving ourselves grace that we're all moving through this journey together, and it never ends.
Thank you. Travis?
Just reviewing the actual question, in some ways you see our industry succeeding and are falling short of that. I know a lot of camps invested a lot of time and effort into more equity programs in, I almost touched my eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't do that.
I got
this one.
So I know that a lot of camps invested a lot in that, and then a lot of that is pulled back because of budget problems. And I see two sides to this. We're such passionate people. We want to make so much change in the world. We're trying to do that, and we just run up against budget boundaries all of the time. And so we have to do the little things as much as we can to be able to afford it. The wider systemic problem is that the world doesn't value youth development, and we're in the middle of that. I don't know how to solve that problem today. But in terms of this stuff, the camps I've seen doing it really well are great at going into the communities they want to reach, making partnerships, and just getting so that the families see their faces and learn to trust them, know who the people are. This is a big discussion, I think, around 2020, when there's a lot of realization of how poor everyone was doing this, that there were a lot of camps who said, but we invite everybody. And we as camps tend to have sites that are either remote or inaccessible for a lot of the year, or we move our office into an office, and so we're just not near our families, and we can't just be an industry that says, well, we have this place, why don't you come here? We have to instead go to those people. We have to build trust and relationships, and the camps that are doing that, I just see them excel at amazing programs, amazing diversity, tons of examples. One of my favorite examples, just to give one, is a camp based out of Boston called Guard Up, and they do LARPs, so live action role play camps, and they teach science and culture. And so they will bring in people from different cultures from around the world to design the program, and then they'll put the kids into that program in LARP for the week. And it's all done from the perspective of somebody who lives that culture. It's their home culture, but it's very educational. And just the things that happen in that camp have been amazing because of that. So they're bringing people to them, and they're going to the people both.
Thank you. I want to just highlight some other really positive things that I've seen. There's a bunch of camps who use rental programs as a bit of an ambassador program to start. I think, day camp can be a really accessible way for some families to feel that trust, because the concept of sending your kid away to camp is not ubiquitous, right? Sending your kid away. And even, I have people in my family who have 8-year-old kid that they've never been away from them for a single night. And that is someone, a sibling of someone, I'm not calling out my sister, she's not going to listen to this, I don't know, but like a sibling of someone who is deeply entrenched in the summer camp world and has drank all of the summer camp Kool-Aid. And if I can't convince my sister to send her kid to camp, then I think I got to take a look at myself and how am I actually reaching out? And so I see great camps using rental programs as a way to bring in community groups, giving them free rental at their camp, and then offering camp programming during their rental, and bringing that in, touring them through the cabins, giving the kids in the rental group a chance to sleep in the cabins, and like being a part of that. It's like that's a step where you're meeting someone a little more halfway in a space that they're comfortable in. So what are the bridges that you can do? Who can you reach out to? And I also want to highlight, so in some of my work with the Canadian Camping Association, we connected with the David Suzuki Foundation, who is doing some wicked, cool work with reconciliation out in Camp Firkham, working with the Suzuki Foundation that's turned into this amazing partnership where they were running joint programming with Indigenous youth out there. The Indigenous youth have become the leaders of that program now. It was meant to be a partnership and a teaching program. The Indigenous youth then became part of the Camp Firkham staff team, and then they're working closely with the Indigenous Child and Family Services to bring more kids to their program. And it is one of the, in my humble opinion, the truest forms of the reconciliation goals that I think a lot of us would say that we have. And there are people who want to partner with us, and I think in the same way of the sustainability vein, and what Rachel is saying is, what steps are you moving forward with? Right? We don't expect you to be the pillar of diversity, but we expect, I think, what we should be doing is stepping out, reaching out, making those things, not just waiting for people to come to us, because if we do that, then we're just going to keep doing the same thing we always do and expect people to understand that, which I think is just going to result in the same thing over and over.
There's a difference between leaving the side door open, slapping a welcome sign on it, and hoping people will come in, versus throwing open the front doors and saying welcome, calling somebody by name and saying we made this for you.
What, Rachel's got the mic drop moments. Yeah. I appreciate that about you. Okay, we are moving on to our last wing, and I am legitimately worried at this point because that last one we all went through a little bit with each other here. So the last question is meant to be just a way that we can thoughtfully wrap up. So I'll throw it to the panelists for final thoughts, last piece of advice, any shout outs or plugs that you would like to do, but at the very least, because this is spicy questions, I would like you to answer Chacos, Crocs, Tevas, or Blundstones. That was okay, for the people listening out there, I prompted the audience for a couple of the questions to give me an ooh. That one was the genuine ooh from a couple of people in the room. Oh, the sauce. This one is called Thunder Kiss, which I think is an 80s rock band, hair metal band name. The ingredients. Oh no. It's chili de arbol. I don't know what that means, but it sounds hot. Scorpion peppers, ghost peppers, Carolina Reaper peppers, ghost pepper powder. Why would you do that? And then add the last ingredient, jalapenos. Just because. I didn't shake this one up. Well, here, it's okay. There we go, it's coming up. Okay. Oh, that's a mistake.
Watch Matt's face. You're gonna see something happening.
What for that?
It's plant-based. It was a mistake. Don't do that. Travis, over to you.
Question already.
Final thoughts, last piece of advice, shout-outs, or camp footwear choice.
Oh, Chacos and Bunnies. I don't know, last piece of advice. We've talked about it so much in such broad terms. I think my best piece of advice for camps these days is be a place where you are working, everybody on your team is empowered and expected to make change every day. Make it at camp, make it little, make it manageable. When you develop that culture, that people see the opportunities in the world to make changes and get better at camp. I'm sorry that you all are listening to this and not seeing this happen. The audience just pulled out their phones to watch our faces. Can anyone else talk?
What you're saying is just so beautiful. And I appreciate it. And it's Chacos. That's the right answer. If you say Crocs, you're wrong.
My advice is don't do this. Blundstones every time. Howie?
I'm gonna go with Blundstones, but I wear running shoes every day, so I don't know. Oh my gosh, final thoughts. First of all, I appreciate the quality of the discussion that we had in this recording about just some really important issues that I don't think enough of us are talking about on a regular basis. So congratulations for Matt for creating this program today, for sure. You know, for as long as I've been in this business, I think for me, I've always been someone who has felt that our culture stems from the experience we create for our staff in many ways, that the experience of our kids and their families are stemmed from the creation of an environment where our staff can feel comfortable to make mistakes, take risks, and really give them the best experience of their life, because they'll keep coming back forever and those kids will have the best experience. For me, it's very much about staff, and it has been for as long as I've been doing this. So that's always the advice I will give. I really encourage people, if you haven't listened to the Camp Owners podcast, to check us out. We have upwards of 70 episodes that range from a variety of topics. If you are looking to make this your life work, if the journey of being a camp operator or in this industry, there's some really, really smart people on this podcast, like so many of the other podcasts on the network. But we explore a very specific set of topics that I think you'll all find really interesting. So check us out, and shout out to my co-host Kelly from Minnesota, who's pretty awesome. And I thank Travis, I will do that, for getting us together to do this. It's been really fun.
Can I just jump on that? If you are not a camp owner, you should still listen to the show. The stuff they talk about is great. And I have had so many people say, I didn't think I would get into the Camp Owners podcast. Well, what Kelly and Howie do with the show has been amazing, and it's been a really worthwhile subscription.
Okay, I think I can talk now. Sorry, I was trying really hard to listen, but I'm sweating. I think, building on what Howie was saying, give yourself some grace, be open to learning, and share your mistakes. We aren't going to get many things in this world right. I get lots of things wrong all the time. Share it, be open about it, own it, move forwards, and be kind about it. And I think we will all be better together, and that's all we want, and that's all our kids want. And our campers do so well when they see us make mistakes and own them, and also when we apologize to them and to our communities. So the world is tough, folks, and we're moving through it together, and we make it brighter.
I would give that to Rachel. I'm right, Trump. Thank you. Don't do this. The hot sauce is good, though. It's not nice, but it's good.
They were good up until the last one.
Yeah.
It was just fun.
So, thank you so much for listening and attending. Shout out to our live crowd. I won't bully you, but I implore you to come try these hot sauces right after this. You can listen to this episode in a few weeks on the main feeds of CampHacker, First Class Counselors, and the Camp Owners podcast. And don't forget to check out our other shows at gocamp.pro/podcast. There's a podcast for camp professionals of every age and stage.
Take care, everyone.
Go well and safely, friends.
Camp is camp, and camp's all good.
Thanks for the evening, friends.
The CampHacker podcast is brought to you by Beth and Travis Allison, summer camp leadership training and marketing consultants. Thanks for listening.
Hey, Camp Pros. We love that our industry is built on sharing. In order to foster that spirit, if you've gotten even one good idea from a Go Camp Pro podcast, a masterclass, from the Summer Camp Pros group on Facebook, at a conference, or wherever else, we ask that you give credit where credit is due. That way, we can encourage camp pros to keep freely sharing their brilliant ideas and make the camp industry better. Thanks very much.